Hello everybody, what we've got here is a Williams System 4 CPU board and a Williams System 3 CPU board. They're both to go in a flash game. Well, one's working one and a spare one. So what we'll do is we'll upgrade the System 3 to 4 and we'll get them both set up and ready to work in a flash. One of the first things we need to do, this one has some minor corrosion and it needs to clean up, so I'm going to give that a wash. And this one has quite a bit of corrosion. You can see it. No, you can't really focus in very well. There you go. You've got corrosion all around here. Looks like this battery area here is leaked down onto this area. So we're going to give it a decorrosion wash, and we're going to get all these crappy sockets off. We need new pins here. These are all crappy as well. Same with this board. So again, new sockets, new pins. Get the battery holders off, and should be able to make hopefully two fully working for a flash. Okay, well, I'm already replacing these sockets, but I just thought I'd show that the pins are actually destroyed on these in the corrosion area. There's nothing left of them, so we'll definitely replace all those. Okay, and here's the driver board that goes with the flash. This has got a bit of corrosion to take care of, especially around this interconnect. Now, if we have a look at the pins, we can see. Focus, come on. There you go, look. Some are missing, some are bent, some are green. This is totally in need of a new interconnect there. We've got some signs of corrosion up around the upper areas. If we look on the back, here we go. We see we've got some fairly significant corrosion on these pins here. I assume it's run down from the CPU board at some point. A bit of burning over here, and some horrible dodgy soldering here, which needs cleaning up. Oh dear, look at some of them. They're pretty nasty. That's what happens when people that don't know how to solder do soldering. Yeah. Okay, so clean up, corrosion clean up, new connectors. What else have we got? These resistors absolutely had it. Look at them. They are totally gone. They're easy enough to replace though, so that's not an issue. We've got some corrosion across all over here. So we'll get all that done as well. I think what I will do is I'll take this relay off before we do any washing. We don't want to trap any water inside there. And a lot of these connectors are going in the bin. Okay, so now that we've removed the headers, we can see we need to re-clean the board again, as there's still some corrosion under here. Well, this bit's a bit nasty where the all the resistors have melted. We'll try and clean it all the best we can. Now the soldering on these ICs is terrible, so I'm going to basically clean it up with some flux cleaner first. Put some fresh solder on, desolder all of that, put new sockets in, and some of these transistors as well are pretty awful. Ugh. So yeah, we'll probably replace a few of these components, or at least completely resolder them from scratch. They just look terrible. Right, I just pulled that red socket off, and it's pretty horrendous underneath. You have to get it all cleaned up, get rid of corrosion, and we have to patch up some tracks. I think these through holes have been ripped out by the person who put that red socket in. Right, so this is the System 4 board. I've had to take a hell of a lot of components off as it's got quite a serious corrosion problem. So this is the header pins that basically connect to the driver board. As you can see, they're all corroded, so we need to get that cleaned up. This chip here, I think that was a 7402, that's completely gone. These ROM sockets here were all bad, as you can see, so we need to clean all that up. As with this one, the battery holder itself wasn't as bad, but we've got it off. We need to get all this area here sanded down. And the RAM here, not too bad, but it just needs a bit of a clean up and sand there. So we've got quite a bit to do with this one. The CPU socket as well, for some reason. Looks like someone's done a bod job of replacing it at some point. It's got bits of corrosion all around it, so we need to get that cleaned up. And then we've got the power header pin and the dedicated switches, blanking, and one of the display pins. They all need replacing. So overall quite a bit needs doing to this one. And here we have the System 3 board. Fortunately this one's not as bad as the System 4. So we've got the header pins off. They came off quite cleanly. Taking these two sockets off and putting new ones on. I'm going to leave these two here because I'm not using them. I've cleaned out this unused socket, so we're going to use this one now. That's already been socketed by a previous owner. We've got these header pins here to replace. That's been done with a previous owner. We've got a couple of modifications to do to turn this into a System 4 board, which obviously this ROM change here is also part of the conversion into a System 4. And we also need a new socket here. So this one's, needs a little bit of work, but not too bad. Okay, and here's the corrosion cleaned up on the System 4 board. Actually doesn't look too bad at all, really. Certainly come up alright. So we need to get new sockets, new header pins. We need a little bit more work here. There's a little bit of corrosion in there. Yeah, it's not looking bad. Got the corrosion around this socket cleaned up too. And the back wasn't too bad. This area was the worst. I've got that sanded down. It's looking pretty clean. So I think this should be fully rescuable. Yeah, it's not too bad now, considering what it looked like to start with. Okay, so here's the System 4 board, all fully assembled. So we've got some new sockets for the ROMs here, new socket for the clock chip, that's been replaced, new socket for the CPU, new socket for the the CMOS RAM, new socket and a new IC here, new header pins for the interconnect to the driver board, new pins here, here and here. Those were the worst corroded sockets, pin headers on the board. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to stick in the test ROM, which goes into IC17 there. We're going to fire up and see what it does. Okay, so we're looking at the System 3 board. This has now been converted to a System 4. We've installed an additional socket here and made the modification here to allow you to put a single 2716 for the game ROM. New sockets everywhere that it requires. Test ROM installed. And we're about to do our first power. Oh, we also got new pin headers here. So we're about to do our first power up now and see what happens. And sadly, we've got the two LEDs stuck on, which means that this board is not actually running. Okay, so this one was a bad CPU. I've just nicked the CPU from the other board temporarily, and we've got the LEDs flashing. So we'll hit the diagnostic switch, and we get the RAM test. And that's the RAM test completed, so all three RAMs, which are those there, they are working fine. I think we're probably ready. All I'm going to do is basically just logic probe all the display outputs. I think we're ready to connect to the driver board, hopefully, and give that a test as well.